Obsession doesn't start with words. It starts with a feeling, a deep, almost unexplainable emotional pull a woman feels in your presence. And that pull isn't something you create by trying. It's born from what you withhold. The modern man has been taught that connection comes through constant communication, frequent compliments, and emotional exposure. But the truth is, obsession lives in contrast. It grows in the space between what she sees and what she senses, between what you show and what you keep to yourself. Women don't become obsessed with clarity. They become obsessed with curiosity. The moment she feels like she can define you, the mystery dies. When the mystery dies, so does the emotional pursuit. Most men want to be liked, so they talk too much. They over-explain. They hand their entire story to a woman in the first few weeks, hoping that being transparent will make them more lovable. But what it actually does is make them predictable. And predictability is the enemy of desire. It's the man who creates obsession. Is the one she can't quite label. He's calm, but passionate. He's present, but private. Kind, but not eager. He doesn't need to prove anything because he knows exactly who he is, and that self-awareness creates a presence that lingers. When she doesn't have all the answers, her mind begins to fill in the blanks. She imagines your past, your thoughts, your intentions. That mental effort, that internal tension is where obsession begins. Not because you were loud, but because you were quiet. Not because you chased her, but because she felt pulled toward. You don't have to speak much to be memorable. You just have to carry yourself like a man who doesn't need to be understood to feel complete. And that aura becomes unforgettable. Asterisk presence is a language, one that doesn't require words, yet speaks louder than anything you could ever say. In a world where everyone is constantly distracted, scrolling, talking, moving presence has become rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. When you sit across from her and give her your full, undivided attention, without trying to impress, without fidgeting or performing, something shifts. She feels it in her body before her mind can explain it. You become different, grounded, steady. You are no longer just a man, you're a moment, one that slows down time. Most men don't understand this. They think they have to entertain, impress, or prove their worth to earn a woman's focus. But the man who simply is, who can sit in silence and let it breathe, who listens without needing to speak, creates an emotional gravity that's impossible to ignore. Presence doesn't mean doing more, it means doing less, with intention. It means every glance, every word, every pause is deliberate. And in that intentionality, she feels safe. Safe to relax, to unfold, to let her guard down. The truth is, women aren't starved for conversation. They're starved for depth. And depth isn't about talking endlessly. It's about the energy you bring into a room. When you're rooted in your frame, when your mind isn't scattered or seeking approval, she picks up on it. Subconsciously, she starts craving that energy, that space where she feels fully seen without pressure. That becomes her emotional home. And because it's so rare, it becomes addictive. You don't have to dominate a room to be powerful. Sometimes the most captivating man is the one who simply pays attention, who doesn't chase the moment, but embodies it. And once she's felt that kind of presence, she won't forget it. She'll want to feel it again and again. Asterisk unpredictability is one of the most potent forces in attraction. It's not about being erratic or manipulative. It's about never becoming a pattern she can anticipate. When a woman can predict every move you make, her mind shuts off. There's no mystery left to unravel, no emotional highs or pauses to feel. But when you're a man whose life has depth, whose schedule is dictated by purpose rather than desire, you naturally become less available not as a tactic, but as a byproduct of your mission. And that unpredictability becomes magnetic. One day you're deeply affectionate, present, and engaged. The next, you're focused, unavailable, building something meaningful. Not because you're punishing her with silence, but because your time is genuinely in demand. This contrast keeps her engaged. It creates an emotional rhythm that she can't quite catch up to, and that chases that curiosity. Fuels her thoughts about you. Women don't become obsessed with men who are constantly accessible. They become obsessed with men who are rooted. and something bigger than the relationship. Your life has to be full, must have your own momentum. When she sees that your attention isn't automatic, that she doesn't control your availability, it changes the power dynamic. She starts checking her phone more, not because she's insecure, but because she's intrigued. She starts wondering not just where you are, but who you are. You're no longer a convenience. You're a mystery. A man who's present one moment, then disappears into his purpose the next. That flow, that rhythm, is where her emotions begin to spiral. And not in chaos, but in fascination. It's because now she doesn't just want your time, she wants your presence. And when a woman begins to crave earning your attention, she's already hooked, not by your effort, but by your absence. Asterisk, sexual energy is misunderstood by most men. They believe the more available they are, the more desirable they become. But true desire doesn't live in availability, it lives in restraint. When you make your attention too easy to access, when you're always ready, always responsive, always giving, your energy becomes predictable. Predictability is the fastest way to kill seduction. A woman doesn't want everything at once. She wants to feel the spark, the tension, the slow unfolding of intimacy that builds in layers. It's not in leaps. When you're the man who flirts with presence but doesn't overcommit, who touches with intention but doesn't rush, you awaken something primal in her. You become the one who makes her feel desired without being owned, teased without being fulfilled. That tension, that space between craving and receiving, becomes the fuel for obsession. You're not withholding affection to manipulate. You're simply grounded enough to know your energy is sacred, and she has to rise to meet it. Sexual tension isn't about pressure, it's about polarity. When she senses that you're not ruled by your impulses, when you can feel desire without being consumed by it, you become a new experience for her nervous system. You're not the man who needs to touch to feel powerful.
Oh, you're the man who
can create electricity through a glance, through silence, through presence. That kind of control isn't normal, and what's not normal becomes unforgettable. She doesn't just want your body, she wants access to the space where your discipline lives. And when she realizes that access must be earned, her focus sharpens, her effort increases, her investment deepens. Because now she's not chasing pleasure, she's chasing meaning. You've become more than attraction. You've become an emotional pursuit, and that's where obsession begins. In restraint that invites, not chases. Asterisk, a man without purpose is a man easily forgotten. But a man who moves with intention, who's building something bigger than himself, becomes unforgettable, not just to women, but to the world. When your life is full, when your days are structured around mission, discipline, growth, you don't chase anyone. You move forward, and that forward motion creates emotional gravity. Women aren't drawn to men who orbit them. They're drawn to men they have to catch up to. Not because those men are playing hard to get, because they're already going somewhere. Purpose is the foundation of masculine energy. It's what gives your presence weight. It's what makes your no meaningful and your silence powerful. When a woman sees that you don't need her to feel alive, she realizes your life was complete before she arrived, she stops taking your time for granted. Your attention becomes sacred. And in a world of men who give it away freely, that sacred energy becomes her obsession. You're not trying to control her. You're not manipulating the dynamic. You're simply living in such truth, such structure, that she has to rise to meet you. And when she does, it's not because you begged, it's because she chose to elevate. That shift in polarity from being pursued to being followed is everything. It means she respects you. Where there is respect, obsession can grow. This isn't about being cold. It's about being grounded. You're warm, but not needy. You're available, but not constantly accessible. You give, but not without standards. You offer her a place in your world, but you don't make her the center of it. And that boundary, that emotional strength, is what locks in her desire. Because now, loving you isn't a right, it's a privilege. And she'll never forget the man who made her earn it.